Greetings and salutations. I'm Ben, you're you. This is the Sunday Night Hang right here on Sundays because that's what the name said. I didn't feel like changing the name. I didn't feel like even thinking of the name. It's more of a description of events. Speaking of description of events, we're chilling tonight with one of my favorite friends in the whole wide world, Mr. Charles Greene, legendary survivor of 1980 ALA. That's all I'm going to say. That's you survived, and we're happier for it. I can say that because, like, my cousin, who also grew up same time frame, same area, he's been a friend of AA for 30 plus years at this point because of that. Hollywood High, class of '82.
Yeah.
Well,
That's funny. You talk about Hollywood High. I picked up Tommy Lee one time. He graduated from Hollywood High School. That was his stomping ground. And one afternoon, I was just driving down Sunset Boulevard. It was not, there was no plans. And I look over to my right. I'm heading west. And as you're pulling up in front of Hollywood High, there was this huge, big oak tree. And I look and I said, "Is that fucking Tommy?" And yeah, it is. He was with his first girlfriend. And I pulled up and I waved to him. I said, "Dude," and he goes, "Man," he was waiting for fucking Nikki, who was late. And they were buddy, they were friends in those days. They knew each other.
Right.
It's pretty cool. It's pretty cool, man. It's good to see everybody in the chat.
I misspoke. Sorry, my cousin went to Beverly Hills High, not.
Oh, I'm sorry. I thought you said Hollywood.
Well, yeah, no, and I always think Hollywood High because my uncle lived in a house that was just inside Beverly Hills, so the kids could go to that school district thing.
Yeah.
And plus, it looks good on paper, right? I'm an actor. I live in Beverly Hills. You rent a house just inside the border.
It's a big difference as far as Beverly Hills High is a pretty
well, they got a good tax base.
High school always has
a good tax base to fund stuff. So let's see. We got a bunch of people already in here. So let's get to it at 2:30 this afternoon. I'm just saying. Earl Coli first in the chat. Then we've got Paul McNary and all the cats.
Right on, brother. Right on,
Terry
man.
G's, always a pleasure. Billy Baloney. Hip Metalworks.
Right, good to see you guys. Right on.
Our music-in-law, Ryan Hall. Always a pleasure.
Right on. Good to see you
JP
guys.
Page 2. They're all talking to each other. Pre-game. Blue Mox is here. RJ the Mad One. Rob Blackmore. Devil's Horns. Alien Head. Rob Blackmore official. He's out on the East Coast. I hope you're surviving out there. Mesa Guitar Guy. Great to see you.
On, man.
Elbarge is here. Who else we got? Eric Warrington, Charles 75N, all day, all night.
Charles, good to see you, man. Right on.
Legend, Mark Taft in the house.
Right on, Mark.
Great to see you. Martian Murray, unfucking believable.
Right on, Martian. Right on, dude.
Who else we got here? Symmetry's here. Great to see you, Trev, as always. Mark's gas
good
station.
To see you,
here.
man. Right on, Trev. Right on,
Captain
man.
Lee Dave is here. Great to see you. Mitch Heyman. What's up, Mitch?
Right on, Mitch.
Great to see you.
Right there, brother.
Who else we got in here? Michael B. Live, who was on last week with his band Melancholy Circus, which you haven't already. Check them out, folks.
That was a really good show. Right on, man.
Yeah, that was a lot of fun. There's another legend, Ryan OU812.
Ryan rocks. It's good
does.
to see you, Ryan. Right on, man.
He does. He's like the YouTube open mic host, if I dare say it. He hosts the best open mic nights. He's got the house band, but then every once in a while, just if you want to come up and do a song, come on up. And that's awesome.
He has provided something to this community that is totally unique.
Yep.
And I can't even say enough about the guy. I really can't. I mean, quite seriously, I don't know him well enough to pick him apart or anything, but what he has done for this community, for me personally, has been just freaking huge. And I thank him. Thank you, Ryan. And all the boys over there.
I'm just going to say, he started everybody to up their game a little bit.
Freaking awesome. Good group of guys. Yep. Thanks for treating me so well over there. You guys are freaking awesome.
We also have Wayne McConnell in the house, Eddie Van Haskell.
Right on, guys.
Jason Lindholm with Super Chat. Hello, Ben. It's Jason Lindholm here.
Right
Glad
on,
to see you,
Jason.
everyone. Great to see Jason in here.
Very cool.
Illinois gentleman, as I recall. Dan of New Jersey, who's not from Illinois. There's Guitar Man 45.
Right on, Bo. It's good to see you, man.
Keith H is here. Always a pleasure, Keith.
Right on,
Down
man.
back, Cornhole Podcast. You know, that'd be Cousin Doug. And then his co-host there on Saturday nights. They broadcast on the YouTubes and the Face Space. I was guest last night, along with the voice of Cornhole himself, Donnie.
Very cool.
Yeah, I had a blast over there. And then it's like, why don't you play us out? I was like, sure, haven't warmed up. Fine. That's fine. Eddie Faye's here.
Eddie, right on, man.
Jeff K.
So, once again, man, there's a bunch of new names, people I haven't heard their name before.
Right.
That's really cool.
Blackjack Guitar. Cool, okay, I think we're caught up. 45 people thus far.
Right on, guys. Right on, Blackjack.
If you're still joining in, come on in, say hello. You know, the least we'll do is say hello back. Because, you know, you're nice enough to say howdy. We're nice enough to say it back.
Right on. Right on.
Yeah. Oh.
Out of the gate, Paul McNary. Right on, brother.
Just because you're always you, Ben. Well, it's a lot easier than being anybody else. I'm just saying. I got a lot of experience and I plan to a lot more of it. Yes. Thank you, though, Paul, very much. Going to talk about all kinds of stuff tonight. You know, I'm just saying. I hope. Also, I just want to say, I hope Charles 75N's feeling better. He was a little under the weather yesterday, so.
Oh, Charles, feel better, brother.
Yeah, he was a little under the weather. So, hope you're feeling better.
You know, a lot of people are getting sick nowadays. It's just a time of year. This
is a reschedule from earlier last month because you weren't feeling too well, and that happens. And Charles 75N is the super sub, so he hopped on in your absence, and you know.
Yeah, I was down for the better part of a month. Joe H, you rock, brother. Nice. Right on, bro.
Nice. Speaking of which, I'll be giving away some more channel memberships on tomorrow night's show. Just saying.
Very cool.
Yeah.
Very cool, man.
Fun. That's good to hear, Charles. Good to hear.
Yeah, man. So what's been going on with you as far as on the bench very recently? Let's talk about what you've been doing. I saw a couple of things.
I've been doing some winter, you know, as the weather gets colder, it also gets much drier. So I've been doing a lot of little tweaks. Necks have been moving, stuff like that, and retweaking again on top of that. You know, a little bit in here just by feel. Like last night, the Gretsch just eyeball. I was like, yep, you know, the neck really felt good, but the action was it was a little low. Like it felt almost like so I just reached down on a little wheel, so just brought up that bridge just a quarter turn, just a touch. There's another legend, Fruitcake Tony in the house. Chief Bottle
Right on, Tony. You rock, brother.
Host of Halenville and Show Me Your Pick, which
Show Me Your Pick
for under stuff, but you know, well,
Tony, Ed, and Brendan, shout out to you guys, man. Love you guys.
Flip side
right on.
Right there. See, they show them. They got them and they show them. I do. I fart in the guitar room much less during the winter. Because they get the doors closed, so it's quieter. You know, we got the doors open, there's traffic going by and stuff. You get away a little more. No.
It's drastic, though. You know, you're up north, you're in this freaking cold region. It's not quite the same here.
35% humidity in this room right now.
It gets cold, but it's...
Yeah. We've been hovering right around freezing all week. It's been a lot of snow and rain. But the rain isn't moisturizing, you know, enough that, like I say, it's still, I'm looking at my thing right here. It's 35% humidity in here. So that means I don't get to play my EVH Wolfgang until April because it gets fret sprout and it's got stainless steel frets, and I'm not dealing with that.
So it's just an unhealthy environment for guitars in general.
It's like your classic car. Like I only drive it certain months of the year.
Yeah.
So
You know,
at least the wheat is all crumbly and dry, right?
what I've been having to deal with, lots of little things. I got to give Mitch Heyman a shout out. He has
Yes.
been a freaking lifeline to me. I still have some issues and things to deal with, like tonight. I went on Ryan's show. I have this really cool new microphone, and I couldn't get it quite to work. Even though Mitch worked it out with me yesterday, I had it working. It was working, but I did something. I don't know what the hell I did, but I got to get that worked out. But you know, there's something about the fact that I'm doing this digitally on my computer now.
Mm-hmm.
Number one issue that's come up, and it's just right in my face, is I need what I think what's called a MIDI floor pedal, so that I can program my, if I've got let's say a chorus pedal or a delay pedal, which is really important to be able to step on delay and take it away. I can't do that. And so I'm finding that all of my patches I'm having to, I don't use a lot of delay typically anyway. I really don't. I like reverb a little more.
Sure.
But there's times where a specific song or something, it just got to have it. It's there. And so I'm looking into that now to try to get that worked out sometime in the future. The little things to do this stuff on YouTube can be very frustrating. You know, Quentin James, give him a quick shout out. He's got his tone now. Yeah. And his audio quality is wonderful. Awesome. So he's just passed a major milestone, right? In dealing with what we all, fight to do.
Well, and there's a variety of paths to take to get the end result, and none are particularly easy or cheap. That's for sure, because it's like playing guitar. Playing guitar, technically, to play a guitar, it's very easy, but it's very hard to play well.
That's true. And to not make mistakes on demand, like to know you have to play clean. Fuck, that's hard.
Like if you were just playing rhythm along, playing power chords, dum, 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 not that hard. You're just moving that around, not that hard. But you want to play lead, hard, or harder, we'll say.
Yeah, and sets the bar a little higher.
If you want to get sound from here into YouTube, technically it's pretty easy. But to make it sound good, there's the thing. Yeah. And I also want to welcome, we've got a bunch more people joining in, I saw. Lucky Seven's Alternative Band is here. Guitar Man 45 said he found a couple of Yamahas at his place the other day. Oh, that's good. Archaeological digs.
He rock,
Christopher Sova in the house, and
right
Scott
on, Christopher.
Nice, Scott Brockway in the house as well. All right.
Hey, Scott.
I don't underestimate. No, Eddie. Yeah, believe me, I made my living playing rhythm. That was my thing. But I'm saying, the basics of guitar, you can teach anybody how to play guitar in 15 minutes. The very basics. You can get somebody playing a very basic thing in 15 minutes. However, if you don't play well, like I say, that's something else.
I got my granddaughter. She's 13. Name's Jordan. And I got her a little Fender acoustic as a 3/4 scale.
I demoed one of those recently.
She's still little, right?
Yep.
And so I've started giving her, she's actually getting her very first guitar lesson tomorrow evening from me. Official guitar lesson. We've dabbled and but she's all in now. So I've got that to look forward to. It's kind of cool, actually. She's really, but just to let you guys know, she loves Taylor Swift. Okay,
hey, nothing wrong with that.
Taylor Swift. So I'm going to learn a Taylor Swift song to teach her. Nice. I don't know which one because I don't know a damn Taylor Swift song to save my life.
Right.
But I will find one out.
Nice.
Yeah.
I say just go on the old YouTubes, type in Taylor Swift guitar lesson, and whatever one comes up first.
Yes.
That's the one to learn.
Yes. Something.
Because it's chances are it's probably one of her more popular songs. And kind of easy to learn, so the lesson's popular.
Exactly. Yeah.
But that is true. Oh, you do need to learn rhythm before you can learn lead, in my opinion, too.
Rhythm guitar, can get quite dynamic. I'm struggling right now trying to learn. There's a song by Slipknot called "Before I Forget." You might check the video out. It's freaking badass. It's a really great tune. People, by the way, if I say Slipknot and you guys are like Slipknot, there's a beautiful, sweet melody in every Slipknot song. You just have to find it. It's there. And Mick Thompson, he's now one of the former, I would call him the rhythm guitar player in Slipknot. His guitar line in that song is absolutely challenging for various reasons. And so that's something that I'm starting to try to dabble in. I kind of stay locked in the 80s, we were talking about guitar style and the way a lot of us play. It's really interesting.
Thank you, Michael.
I was just on there with Ryan and the boys, and
holy crap on a cracker. Unfucking believable. Jeez. Hail, Charles and Ben. Thoughts on writing a book, Charles? Ben, Charles 75, Ben, and I will interview you, and I will ghostwrite it. Nice. Okay. So
that's funny. There's a lot of stories that I have never told you guys. I couldn't even tell them right here. But I could put them in a book, and it would.
Well, I see. I like this idea. The three of us, we would interview you and just pick your brain, and then he ghostwrites it. So really, all you get to do is hold court for hours on end, right? And we hang out and tell tales.
You guys are really, really cool. I really appreciate all your kind words. You guys absolutely kick ass.
Yes. And before I forget, Michael B., yes, it is great when you take your gear into places and play, spreading the excellentness. Hey, it all in the chat. I agree. Yeah, there is something like when you're playing, and also was like, whoa, like, where that's that inspiration or the look of joy on someone's face when you start playing one of their favorite songs of all time. Like they're like, this is my fucking jam. Like, yes, I didn't think they were gonna play it. Oh yes,
absolutely.
Yeah. Like, do you do this song? Yes. All right.
It's funny, once we start looking for available backing tracks, it's like, okay, so I've been playing for it's been 12 years now, I guess. 12, something like that, maybe 13 years. And in the first couple of years, I got to where I could learn rhythm, and I started learning songs that I loved, and everything from Kicks to Warrant to Crew to Rat, everything. Any song that I thought I could play, I tried to on rhythm. And a lot of them were quite challenging. It's not that simple when you get into the dynamics of a good rock song. And so there's different levels to it. But I learned I would say in the first 7-8 years, I learned close to 200 songs, but I couldn't play a solo on any of them. To say half-ass, maybe one or two are here, but for the most part, I just couldn't solo. So that was kind of a thing where I really wanted to do that, but you just simply can't start soloing. You need to learn the dynamics with your fingers, but rhythm guitar is the root of the song. Right. I would be lost without it. If I had tried to go that way and stayed with it,
I could noodle a melody, for lack of a better thing. I wouldn't call it soloing per se, because I could never take my noodling and place it into a song. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
I knew a scale, and I knew kind of some refs in a scale, but even then, I was like, I don't know how I'd put that into a song. And it was only a year before I started doing YouTube that playing in my then by that point third or fourth band that all of a sudden was like, hey, can you take some of the lead work? I was asked. Okay, I'll try. And it started very simple. And then the more I did it, the more I liked it. And once I expanded my wheelhouse enough, and I happened to I did a ton of woodshedding the year prior to starting my YouTube channel too. I probably played more that year prior, even though I gigged way less. I probably played a lot more because when I gigged all the time, I never played at home, Charles. I had I didn't even have any guitars at home unless it was taking them somewhere. They were just sitting in cases. I never played at home. I always played at rehearsal space or on stage for years. And then all of a sudden I had a job where I had a lot of downtime, and I'm just woodshedding an hour or two at a time, doing that 3 or 4 hours a day. And all of a sudden, I turn a certain channel, lead. Ooh, listen, oh, you can shred. No. I'm just staying one left ahead of you type thing.
How good was that feeling the first time you ever pulled off even 3 measures, 4 measures of some little thing, and it just fit perfectly, and you were like, shit.
Oh, it was ridiculous. Well, I started playing in 1989.
Yeah.
I didn't start playing lead until 2017. Yeah. Like, I looked at myself as, I was like my dad. Purely, or sideman. Backing vocals, rhythm guitar. And that's what I did in the first few bands I was in. And then, I was kind of thrown into it in a sense. And I'm like, okay. And watching, and listening and figured it out. And just happenstance, I was very fortunate that. And now I don't even think twice about. Well, I do think twice about it, because my biggest problem is still to this day, Charles. You have to tell me before the song starts if I'm going to play a lead, because my first question to you, and only question to you, is what key is the song in? Because I have no idea what key I'm ever playing in, because I never learned that. I assume, the rule of thumb is usually the first chord you play in a song is the key that it's in. And then it'll tell you if it's a major or minor, depending if you're ascending or descending. But if you don't start on the 1, then I'm lost. Because unless it's a 1-4-5 type blues-based song, then I know. That's it.
It's interesting because freestyling a solo, just coming off the cuff and doing it, is what all the boys do on the OU 812 channel on a weekly basis. And I haven't got to get involved in it yet, but I'm going to be there. Okay. And it's going to be I know it's going to be a bittersweet experience, but it's more sweet than bitter. Let's just put it that way. And the minute you were just saying what you said, I was thinking back, one of the last backing tracks they played was a big question mark. What key was it in? It was I don't even want, I forget if it was, I think it was a Lydian, some kind of a Lydian thing. And
which you might as well tell me it's from Mars.
I'm so glad I wasn't involved in it. I'd have been
because I don't know modes.
It would have been a train wreck for me. But yet again, though, I'm going to be in a lot of those train wrecks with those guys, and that's cool. That's what it's all about. But no, it's I wouldn't want to be in a position where
Lydian tells me nothing. Like C tells me, okay, it's in the key of C, but to play in the Lydian mode, fuck if I know. All I know, Charles, I'll play a major pentatonic, and if that doesn't work, I'll go to a minor pentatonic. If that doesn't work, I pull a Quentin James and do an Irish goodbye, and I just click out. I'll disappear.
Quentin James rocks, by the way.
Sharp 4. See, I don't. That was that like a flat 5? I don't know. And even then, like, is that just a minor pentatonic, and I move the sharp 4, or is that a flat 5? So I don't know. I know some stuff. I probably already do it and not know it, because I've been told I've done that. Where I need to take a couple lessons from somebody who knows all their theory and just pick their brain. Like, well, what am I doing? Whereas I can teach a lot of people. Like, people like, I don't want to know theory. I just want to learn how to play. I'm your man. Beato loses me too easy, Billy. He needs less words and slow down.
He's so damn accomplished and smart. He impresses me every time I see him.
I'm threatening unbelievable with him. I'm thinking about taking lessons from him, because I've had a few off-air conversations with him, and he knows. See, now he's like B sharp minor Lydian with a flat 11. Thing is, he knows what he said there. I'm not sure what he said.
So, I have no idea. I mean,
although a flat 11 is the same as a flat 5th, I think. 4th, 5th.
I don't know.
Josh Tambor. I found out just recently a 1 and an 8 is the same thing, but it's just an octave higher, and I went, that makes sense.
Yeah. I remember a couple of years ago, I've only really been playing trying to play lead. I'm not that I'm any good at it, but we're all trying to get there, right? And so I started trying pretty intently. It's been maybe 3 years, 4 years since I really tried. But what I never learned in the beginning, because I was self-taught, was the blues.
I like that. The subtle self-promotion. I did a video on modes. Hint, hint. I'll try, Lee. Godspeed to whoever can make me figure it out is all I'm saying. And because I don't get it. I've taken years of theory.
Well, I went from learning songs, rhythm.
Yeah.
To try, I'd try to do this and that and the other thing, but
it's not bad,
I was no good. I couldn't play lead. I couldn't legato pick. For some reason, I couldn't get this hand right. It just didn't work. And it would frustrate me. But I never learned the blues. I never learned them. I quite literally was sitting at my desk one day.
I shrug.
There you go. I was sitting at my desk one day, and I said, shit, what? Oh, I remember what it was. I was watching, this was about 3.5, 4 years ago. It was a minute ago. Guitar Hack was gigging on the regular. This is pre-COVID, I'm talking. Gigging the regular twice a week with 2 different bands, and I'm watching him play straight up pentatonic, blues-based fucking rock guitar licks.
Right.
Badass. And so I'm watching him, and I'm like, shit, I can't do that.
Yeah.
I can't.
Which is ironically the most basic of basics in many ways, at least in my opinion. But and I've seen both of you play, but he, like me, stick to the pentatonic, because a lot of classic rock is based over blues, so like 1-4-5 stuff where whatever the one is, you just play the minor pentatonic of that one, and no matter what chord you're playing over, it works. And then you get into mixing the major and the minor together, and then all of a sudden you're Jimmy Page and Angus Young, which is awesome. But
he's playing this solo, and he's quite literally making the solo going from happy to sad. And I'm like, fuck, how do you do that? And so I got to give him a shout out. Part of my little lead guitar journey was inspired by Guitar Hack. Quite straight up.
Learn all 5 positions. Easy there, Bo.
I Googled how to play the blues on YouTube. I YouTubed it. How to play the blues. Quite literally. And 1,000 videos and, dozens of videos. I went straight into pentatonic, how to play the blues. And it was the most basic. I went for the basics. And that's kind of what started me on trying to get to be able to play lead guitar in any fashion, because the first 3 or 4 bars that I ever got to play where I actually did it half-ass okay, where it sounded okay, I was blown away. I was like, my God, this is cool. And so I was hooked at that moment. But I had to work on a million different things like you guys all do. And it is a journey. It's not a destination. I ain't never going to get there.
For me, the first song was Allman Brothers' Whipping Post. I took the 3rd lead. And it was like, I'm like, what do I play in? He's like, A minor pentatonic. I'm like, done. All right. And I just go to town. And I play lead until I hit a sour note, and then I fall back in. That's how I work. I won't even try to resolve. If I hit a sour note,
I love it.
Yeah. So it's like the tape broke. That's over the lead. And it's gone. So I like that. Blue Mox is saying the blue note varies, but you can do a little bend to mix it in. Takes practice for sure. Oh, yeah. Exactly. And that's a nice
thing. It's good to see you, Mox, man. I miss you over there at the OU812 crew, dude. I'm looking forward to playing with you again.
When it comes to lead work, if you hit a sour note, just bend it 1 step, and you're going to be into a sweet note, because you're only ever 1 note off at most. That's all you have to do. Just a half-step bend. Just, I meant to bend into that note. Oh, look at you, all jazzy. You're just covering for yourself.
But I need to get a MIDI pedal. It's I don't know anything about them really. There's different brands and stuff, but
I was gonna say you might be okay with even something like the Helix type system, where it's where you have the interface is similar to a pedal board where you can click effects on and off, but yet it's you have your effects, your amps, your cabs, and everything. You just take 2 cables, plug it into your interface in stereo, and boom, there's your tone, and something like that. For me, I just loud amps like we measured it here a couple weeks ago, 93 decibels in the room when I'm playing on Monday nights.
No shit.
Yeah.
That's great.
Exactly. Now, fortunately, I'm able to do that, but not everybody's able to do it. You live in a condo or something. You can, well, you can if your neighbors are cool and or deaf.
My neighbors are real cool, but I literally answered my door one time, and he was standing there, and his wife was just throwing the biggest fit because the vibrating.
It does sound difficult
in the living room, and we're tight, we're buddies, but I can't do that shit anymore. I can't do it.
Yeah,
I can put the headphones on. But no, the MIDI that I'm talking. There's a brand called MIDI Commander. It's not a high end. It's a brand name called the Commander, and all it is just the actual switchboard itself that is programmable. There's 2 banks of 4. So you've got 4, 8, 12. You've got 16 possible, combinations of things you can do with it. Mm-hmm. And it's really just for pulling on and off small effects because I'm not that demanding. I don't know that much, but I would like to be able to step on a delay pedal for a moment. Sure. There's this Marty Friedman solo I've been working on, and I would love to be able to play it and get it half-assed decent, but I have to be able to step on a delay pedal for like 3 seconds of seriously saturated delay, and then you take it away. It's really important. Mm-hmm. And so in order to do that, I've got to still continue to get stuff for this and step my game up and get more gear. And it's a never-ending thing. I got this.
Don't even get me started on never-ending gear. I didn't need any guitars last year. I ended up with 5. So
I've been pretty good. I've got the one that Charles is doing for me, but I've probably got 5, 6 guitars that I need to finish modding. Quite straight up modding. Right. It might be something simple, tuners, maybe a new nut, maybe a little this or that, whatever. And so maybe instead of
I've got several.
Okay, I'm going to buy some more guitars. That's going to happen. It's a disease. I can't help it. But I need to pay a little more attention to some of the ones that need some attention, Right. And that's like every time I see you with something on the bench, I say to myself, look, see, Ben, he does it.
Well, see, I really get to cure my gas, although it does lead to more gas, is the amount of guitars I play in a calendar year. Because I'm playing literally hundreds of guitars a year.
Yes,
which is good in a sense. But on the other hand, there's a handful that haunt me over the course of that year. And fortunately, it's only about 2% of the guitars I play. But every once in a while, I'll play one. I'm like, oh, I don't know. I might need to put this one on layaway. And then you look at the price tag, and it's like $4,000. I'm like, I can't put that on layaway. But we do have a
good thing that some guitars are so overpriced, you just have to walk away. It's a good thing.
Right. Yeah, that's why I always prefer to buy used anyways for that exact reason. But Rob Blackmore Official asks, hey, Charles, what's your favorite Motley Crue tune to play?
PC or Action is my all-time favorite on guitar, and maybe I might be playing that in the future. And then there's another song called Starry Eyes. Those are both original, like in the very beginning. Starry Eyes was actually the B-side to the very first Motley Crue EP. It wasn't an EP, it was a single, little 45 single.
Right. Which was Livewire,
they used to sell, and hell, they give them away on the strip. Sure. I can't tell you how. I've had 2 of those in my life and let them both go.
Up JL's Guitar Shed. Mark is asking, will you be going to the Robbie Krieger show at the Whiskey this coming Tuesday night? I don't think so. Charles is on the other side of the country.
I'm on the other side of the country. But I would love to, Robbie Krieger, I was fortunate enough to see him. He knocked on my back door on a couple of occasions. He was in the club.
Right.
That was they were the house band in a much huger way than Motley Crue was, to be honest. The Doors were there for more than a minute. And just the tales that I heard from those days, the volume from the club. The Doors were loud. They were incredibly loud, and that carnival sound from Manzara's fucking B3 organ was.
Sure.
I'd have loved to have heard that shit. That would have been priceless, man.
Mm-hmm.
But no, Krieger, he was one of the most just sweet guys. Very soft. He's a little guy. He's not a big guy at all,
Right.
And just very soft spoken and no flash to him whatsoever. The only flash, to be honest, in the Doors was Jim Morrison. I mean, he was the flash. He was the pretty boy. He was the guy on the beach with the tan. Yeah. But hey, I got a new mic, and I'm having trouble getting it worked out. I'll show you guys that.
Oh yeah.
It's going to be on a boom somewhere. I'm going to have it like somewhere, I don't know, something like that. And that should make it easier through the Focusrite for me to go on the channel and actually not have to mute my mic out. I'm literally using the wrong mic, and it needs to go through the Focusrite. So I got to work that out. Mitch helped me out yesterday. We had it working, and I screwed it up. I don't know what I did.
Good. Zach Pack was asking, he says, has Charles ever met Mick Mars?
Oh, yeah.
He says, any cool stories? Well, I will say, go back on the channel, Zach, because we've told many crew stories over the years. And I've been asked, and I keep forgetting, I've been asked to make a playlist, Charles, of our shows together as a separate playlist.
Oh, that would be really cool, actually.
Well, I thought we've got an archive. We've probably done like 7 or 8 of these at this point. So
I try not to repeat. So I've been pretty good about not repeating stories. But seriously, to get some good mixed stories, I'd always love to come with a fresh story, guys. And there's a lot of stories I just can't tell you guys on the air. Because it's the whole story is stuff we can't really talk about. And so I'm sorry about that.
Now, occasionally on Water Buffalo meetings, when Charles hangs out with us.
Which I need to get to more often now. I'm so sorry about that. My attendance hasn't been the best for those, but just keep me in, Coach.
Well, you've been busy and not well, so
keep
I get
me in, Coach. Mick, so talk about Mick. Next month, the end of this next month, I think it's the 28th of February, I believe it is.
Let's talk about Mick a little bit. We were talking off air a little bit. Like we've heard he's got the new album coming out next month. He's released the single. I'm not going to lie. It sounds better than anything Motley Crue's done in the last decade as far as the single.
Well, Motley Crue really hadn't done anything in the last decade. You know what I mean?
Whenever Saints of Los Angeles is probably, 15 years ago now.
Yeah.
And even then, I'm not going to lie. That was a little phoned in, Charles. That was like...
Yeah.
Produced to the point where new AC/DC albums are very produced and formulated. Yeah. And that's what it reminded me of.
I did like Saints of Los Angeles. I liked it. I liked Tommy's swing on the drums when he was playing it, and I love.
Well, and it worked for the time because it was somewhat modern, but it was just like, wow, this is so produced.
Oh, yeah, they don't sound – that's the – and there's something you said earlier, Ben. I'm always going to point shit out. You say the new album from Mick Mars, The Other Side of Mars? Yeah, The Other Side of Mars. It comes out on the 28th.
There we go. The voice recommends a Rode PSA-1 boom arm for that mic.
They've already been a couple of songs, I think Right Side of Wrong and Loyal to the Lie are a couple of the quick releases that have come out.
Part 2?
His guitar tone, Ben had said this earlier. I do wish. We got to remember, though, these songs that he's releasing, they're not new. They've been around for a decade or the better part of it. So, got to look back at the very end of Motley Crue, the original ending when they said, hey, this is it and we're done. Remember, a decade ago?
Yeah. Contracts on it.
Got to look at it that way. But if he had just used the tone that he had, Live Wire, Live Wire tone, if he'd have just come out of the gate with that tone and just gone right back to the very beginning, the very thing that
just stripped down. Almost
nitpicking. I shouldn't even really be saying this because I'm being really nitpicky. And Mick, when you hear this, I love the shit out of you, man. It don't matter. But Ben's right. I would have really loved to hear that. However, let's also look at this. We've only heard 2 songs from the album, and it isn't out yet. So
it's very modern. Like I was just like, I feel like I'm listening to Marilyn Manson as opposed to Motley Crue. If that makes sense. It just seemed It was new, and maybe that's the way he wants to go. But like I said to Charles off air, Mick doesn't need to look for any new fans. He has a fan base.
No. And so I saw Vince. He did a solo show. He was playing Girls on YouTube. I forget the venue here. Just last week, I think it was. It's just really weird the way that Motley Crue is just. They're not Motley Crue anymore. I love John 5. He's so accomplished. He's his own thing. That's the thing. John 5 is John 5, whether he's in Motley Crue or he's playing with Rob frickin' Zombie or whatever. It doesn't matter. And so what they've got going now, I'm not personally, and you guys know me, I'm a Crue fan. I'm not really feeling this vibe lately with them at all. I'm really not.
No. Well, you know what it reminds? It's like when Izzy left Guns N' Roses.
It wasn't Guns N' Roses anymore, was it?
Not
People don't realize. A lot of fans. I mean, a lot of us do, but
yeah. And I am biased because I'm an Izzy guy, but and Richard Fortas does a great job. And I love that guy much. But it's not the same without Izzy.
No, it's not. Because Izzy brought a huge portion of the equation of Guns N' Roses. Yeah. We were ragging on Axl a little the other day. He has a massive track record of pissing off the fans and being kind of a dick.
Well, yeah, exactly.
A very talented one, but let's just face it. There's been many a show that should have started and that didn't for various reasons, and it was all because he didn't want to go on stage.
And even on a good night, he usually blew out his voice by the end of the third song, and he sounded like Brian Johnson instead of Axl Rose.
Yeah.
I've got live bootlegs from before they were even signed, and he was doing that. Because he doesn't know how to sing; he screams too much. Yeah. Now, I will say I think he did do some vocal training later, to preserve what he has, because he hasn't really gone downhill from his younger years, in my opinion. It's just.
That's true.
Well, the bar wasn't that high to begin with, so.
No, it was not. It wasn't. Man, I'll tell you what.
I felt more that way when Slash left. Yeah, but in my opinion, I've said it off air, and you know what? You mark it. I'll say it on air. After Appetite for Destruction, we'll take that, put it aside. That first album, after that, Slash has had shitty tone since post for that album. It's nasally, it's all mids, it sounds like ass. Sorry, Slash, you have shitty tone. First album, wicked tone.
You're talking about on his albums, the album tone.
Yeah.
Live.
Even live, I don't care for his tone.
You're not the first person I've heard say that. Because his live tone is absolutely badass, over the top Slash. Mm-hmm. But I've heard that, and I kind of have that kind of same. Same
like Terry's like JNR with Buckethead. Oh yeah, when it was just Axl and nobody else. That's like when they do like Charles. You can go see Great White, or you can see Jack Russell's Great White. One's the actual band, the other one's just the singer with a bunch of guys doing Great White songs.
Yeah.
So yeah, I don't even look at those years. That whole.
No, if you were fortunate enough to see Great White back in the day when Jack Russell could actually, when they did it, one of the very best covers of a Zeppelin song ever, period. Hands down.
What's up, Ed?
In their heyday, they were it. They were so cool. And now we're just hearing little
versions. He saw Guns on the Appetite tour. He said they were on fire. I bet they were.
Incredible band.
Apparently, someone wants to see your red V in the background.
Okay. Hang on a second. Let me get that for you.
Sure.
Let me do that.
Chris relies out. I have no use for GNR after Appetite. Right? Even Lies wasn't that bad. I didn't mind the acoustic tracks a bit. But, The Use Your Illusions. When they brought in both Use Your Illusions, my first thought, Charles, was they should have just consolidated them to one album. Oh, yeah. Look at this.
So this is I have this one potentiometer tucked in, dimed, because it's too close to the freaking pickup in my finger. My big fat finger hits it.
Sure.
But this is a Randy Rhoads. This is the economy model of a Randy Rhoads V.
Yep, I know them
Jackson.
quite well. But you know what? Bang for the buck. Those things are wicked little guitars.
This thing is a shred monster.
Yep.
This is a great guitar. Pound for pound, for the dollar, you can't beat.
Oh yeah.
There's Jackson, and it's a compound radius neck. Jackson necks are absolutely fast as shit. They're wonderful. Yeah. The only problem with this guitar, it's a design flaw.
Okay.
Stick the jack right there.
Oh yeah. Like how you can't play it seated.
Or use an L jack, which is still a quality L jack is still a big lump of stuff right there. It's not a small.
Just to dig right into your leg. That's
nice. And it's not cool. It's not.
Brother John.
But when I'm in a V mood, it's nice to have a V, right?
Now, I was good. R2 easy, because he may own the V. Him, and Dwight Bailey have the Vs. I can't remember what Dwight's, because Dwight has some gear that
it's got the shark inlays, the shark fin inlays on the neck.
I've seen R2s, and he's got the vintage, and he's like, here, this is OG, and you're like, yes, it is.
Yeah. Rest in peace, Randy. Shit, man. I was thinking about Randy Rhoads the other day. It's funny how that goes around and comes around, kind of a thing. You hear a song or some little thing about his birthday or something.
Live tone, great. Randy had great live tone because we heard it on the tribute album. Great tone.
Randy was straight up, live tone from Randy
Rhoads
was fantastic. There's another guy who everyone complains about his tone on the Ozzy album. I get it. His tone sucked on the Ozzy albums. It was just weird.
Let's be honest, Charles. Weird. When Blizzard of Oz was made, Ozzy was essentially broke and unproven as a solo artist. So they did that album on the cheap, and you can hear it. Yeah, again, much like the first Motley Crue album, I think similar budgets. You know what I mean?
I think I remember now. Sharon Osbourne, they got $60,000 was what they got to go on tour for that. So they went into debt, 60 grand.
Yeah.
Absolute that's like really inexpensive for that kind of what you're thinking of. That's not a lot of money. That's like the minimum deal from what she was saying. I don't know. I'm just saying what she said. But yeah. So you're right, Ben. Absolute low dollar.
Rob Blackmore comments, I have a Jackson JS32T King V black gloss. Nice.
Yeah, right on, man. You know where the king comes from, right?
Yeah.
He was so proud.
We may have mentioned a story about that fella.
He was so proud about that damn deal. He was always gravitated towards.
Well, I can just imagine if him with a standard Jackson V, if one called it, he's going to look like a ukulele on him.
Yeah. He'd be in Guitar Center, and he would gravitate Explorers.
Right.
He liked Ibanez Icemans. He loved those. He thought they were badass. But he always went for the oddly shaped guitar.
Sure. Like he would probably do well with a Gibby V, right?
He had one.
King V would.
The very first guitar I ever saw him play at the Whiskey was a natural wood with a black pickguard Gibson V.
Nice. Tribute was the tone, Scott. I'm not gonna lie. That's nice. Yeah.
And so I'm reading Terry's comment here. Back at the Whiskey days, Eddie Van Halen, Randy Rhoads had issues with each other. That's actually a true statement. That's true, but it's not like one of them was a bad guy and the other wasn't.
No.
And we're talking about 3 years, two years after, or 2 years before I actually got into the club. So we're talking late 70s is I think what Terry's talking about. There was a lot of animosity between guitar players, especially of the caliber on the strip, and it was never warm and fuzzy.
No, there was that.
It wasn't.
Yeah, there's that competition thing, which I think, honestly, I think that carries over because you have the Hollywood side of things, the acting thing, auditions. That's a competition. to get a role in a movie or a TV show, there's a certain element of competition involved. It's not just artistry, as it were.
Yeah.
And so, as such, you had guys looking to one up each other. Like bigger amps, bigger sound, faster playing. We've seen it in variety of genres of music over the years. So it just makes sense in this microcosm of that scene that, like at some point, Eddie's going to get sick of hearing, have you heard of Randy Rhoads? And Randy's getting sick of hearing, have you heard of Eddie Van Halen? It's like, yes. Yes.
So Quiet Riot
and Dwight Bailey in the house.
Dwight, it's good to see you, brother. Right on, brother. And Zach, it's good to see you too, brother. Right on, man.
Cole mentions they had the competition thing there in Detroit as well in their scene, which will be at the same time.
And I see Scott mentions George Lynch. I was just about to mention George Lynch.
Mm-hmm.
Rhodes, Lynch, Lee, fucking Eddie. There was a ton group of, and those guys, we're talking about 25 really good guitar players. When you want to start talking numbers, there was 20 to 25 guys who were really, really accomplished.
Mm-hmm.
And they'd steal licks from each other.
Mm-hmm.
And Edward Van Halen would literally turn his back to the stage, turn his back to the audience when he was playing his leads, just so nobody would steal his shit. Sure. They all did that.
Yep. Which we're all, and let's be honest, everyone's been lifting licks from each other since, the blues.
I can remember Randy playing. He had such a huge following. His following was actually, okay, he was beloved. As much as Edward Van Halen, if not a little more in 80, because he had already established himself to a point. And Van Halen was a big deal in beginning of 80.
Sure.
But he was beloved and he had a huge, massive following. The day he died was unbelievably sad. I couldn't believe it. And so when I think back and I look and I say to myself, I said, well, Eddie was this and Steve Lukather, who has nothing to be ashamed of.
Well, and I was thinking that, you were saying, the competition of let's say the Sunset Strip competition thing. Then if you go over in the valley, then you had the whole baked potato scene.
Yes.
And that's a whole other competition of the Larry Carltons and the Lukes and, it's like, doing a whole other different thing that would eventually, you would kind of see that crossover with Eddie and Luke to a certain extent. Like,
there were a large number of musicians who were not only performers.
I blame the weather, Charles. I blame your year-round sunshine and, and the amount of women in bikinis.
LA will mess you up now. Let's just put it out there.
It's Shangri-La.
These guys were the real accomplished guys, like your Lucathers and your Rhodes. They were session musicians as well.
Yeah.
And so they were set in a sort of an elite status.
Mm-hmm.
And it's
almost, again, I think that's that one-up competition. Okay, well, hey, my band got signed. Ooh, my band's going out on tour. Oh yeah. Well, now the band's a success, Charles. So what's left? Oh, I've been asked to play on other people's stuff. Like that's the next one up, right? Or a solo album, or whatever.
Mm-hmm.
Or Eddie doing a movie soundtrack. It's another check.
Plus, there's all these different genres of music that are just exploding. I see somebody over here in the chat here who is just, I don't want to get this wrong. Yes, we're talking Scott Rockaway, talking about Metallica and Slayer. They were a thing.
Yeah.
They were a thing. They were a very raw, rough, totally unrefined.
I was going to say, this guy was aware of Metallica before Cliff was in the band.
Yeah. I remember listening to Cliff play bass, and he stood out. The thing about Cliff Burton is he stood out not just because he had these dynamic bass lines, and they're quite dynamic.
Mm-hmm.
But his personality just made it real, if that makes any sense.
Yep.
That's part of that celebrity side of it. You know, when you
Preston.
when you think of a Cliff Burton bass line, remember the original stuff that they did in the clubs. You know, I always liken it to what the Garage Band Days Metallica album they came out with. That raw,
Right.
just really unrefined.
Sure.
But that's where it all started, and it all sounded like that. And then when they would come up with something that was a little more catchier, and it would turn into a song that the crowd wanted. See, when the crowd wanted the song and the crowd would shout for the song, that's where that next level is for the band. That happened.
Oh, and there's something I don't like. You know, I don't like to be negative too often, but I agree, Christopher. I am glad they fired Dave from the band because we got so much better music out of it.
That's an interesting way to look at it, man. This is my answer for that. Metallica or Megadeth? My favorite Metallica is with Dave Mustaine, period. But my favorite Megadeth is with Marty fucking Friedman. And if I didn't have that, I would seriously it would break my freaking heart. It would be terrible. So my answer is we need them both. Mm-hmm. Good call, Christopher. We need them both.
Yes, yeah, well, like, aren't we glad that Hawkwind fired Lemmy and he started Motorhead?
Yes.
Rio.
Yeah. Yeah.
You know, that's exactly.
Lemmy. That's the start of it all, guys.
It's interesting that way. Yeah.
It really is.
Certain times, it's actually good that you know, like, I don't know, like Ozzy, for instance, you know, because really, let's be honest, when Ozzy left Black Sabbath, Ozzy went on to this tremendous solo career. Black Sabbath kind of, you know, like, I don't want to use the term floundered, but at best they were treading water, you know, and losing ground as everyone else was getting, you know, they maintained some popularity, but then it was, you know, they had a revolving door of singers and mediocre albums, you know, with, you know, considering the amount of hits that came off the Ozzy years with Sabbath, you know. Now, part of that, I think, is they laid the groundwork and lack of competition in many ways, but they're still good songs. They still stand up the test of time. People still listen to Black Sabbath for a reason. You know. So,
Mr. Crowley live,
for them, but
Mr. Crowley live,
with
Jakey Lee playing guitar. Jakey Lee doing Mr. Crowley live is, in my opinion, above and beyond every other thing that Ozzy ever freaking did, period. That moment was incredible live. I'm just going to say it like that. Unbelievable.
Yeah.
Then getting to see help me out. Next guitar player, Night Ranger, Brad Gillis. He saved Ozzy. He freaking saved Ozzy. And he got, quite literally, as far as my remembrance, you know, the way I remember it, back in the day, his contribution to Ozzy Osbourne was almost completely looked over by the media and the masses.
Oh, yeah. For
the most part.
I think they look at the same as when Buddy filled in for James Hetfield when he broke his arm skateboarding.
Yes. Yeah. And
it's just a footnote. Oh, and by the way, this group of dates, James just sang while they had another guitar player. You know, not mentioning, hello, isn't James known as one of the premier rhythm guitar players ever, you know, regardless of genre, we'll say. Yeah. You know, nobody goes, that's James, you know. But, well, they still managed to pull off these concerts with Buddy filling in on guitar. So, you know, yeah, it's crazy.
Yes, Scott, Speak of the Devil is awesome. It's timeless. We've got a lot of really good music coming this year. I mean, I know me and Tony, you know, Fruitcake Tony, we're going to catch WVH up close and personal. We're catching Sammy Hagar's. They're going to do, you know, they're going to do their thing with Michael. and Joe Satriani.
Mm-hmm.
I'm also catching.
Well, isn't that just Chickenfoot with a different drummer?
Well, yeah, you could look at it that way.
I'm just saying. And changing the set list from like half Van Halen songs to being all Van Halen songs. It's like that's kind of the way I see it. Because I'm thinking about when the whole first controversy of Satch doing Mean Street or whatever it was. I think twisted a bunch of panties a while back, and I'm just like, wait a minute. I'm like, isn't that just Chickenfoot? Like.
Satch is screwed from the beginning because he's stepping into the shoes of Edward Van Halen, which cannot be done. So what he's doing is and Satch is an incredible guitar player.
And I'm just going to say it right now for those that are like, well, Wolfgang should play Ed's parts. Okay, guess what happens if he does that too long, Charles? He turns into Dweezil Zappa, who loses his own career and is now just known for doing cover tunes of his father.
And that's
I love Dweezil. If you're watching Dweezil, I love you, but nobody remembers your music.
No, you're right. For the most part. I mean, Dweezil does have some pretty diehard fans, and we don't want to disrespect them in any way.
But he's making his living playing his dad's stuff.
So,
and I didn't want to see Wolfgang do that. It's like one of those things. Like, I'll admit to you right here, Charles, I've never heard Wolfgang's band play. I've never heard a Mammoth song. I wish him well. I'm good. Like, I listen to what I listen to, and that's the thing. I wish him well, and I keep an eye on his career, right? And so, like, for instance, came through Toronto about 2 months ago, headlining, headline show where he's playing Danforth Music Hall. I'm like, I know that venue. It's a 2,500 seat place. Sold it out, and it's like, good for you, because if you can play in a rock band and sell out 2,500 seats a night. And it's not a downtown Toronto venue, Charles. Like, it's in the East End. Like, it's a different location thing. Like, usually guys play there's like Dinosaur Jr., the Melvins play there. Like, so I was like, okay, and I love him what he's doing. Like, he's out there, he's doing his thing. He's obviously somewhat involved with the company side to a certain extent, and everyone's like, when are they bringing out his signature guitar? Because he doesn't need to.
That's right.
And two, do you want to chance it, Charles? Because you got to make a minimum number. You're going to build 1,000 guitars. Are you going to sell 1,000 guitars? I think like maybe yes, maybe no. But it's like, do you make it a limited run? Well, you can't. You got to make it a production item. Well, then that's a commitment to Fender. I get it. I say you tease it with release the Wolfgang bass after all these years, because you'll get all the collectors because that ties in with Van Halen. Yeah. But it's also a Wolfgang thing. That's
Yeah. He's definitely got his own thing going now.
His own thing.
He's enhancing his father's thing, is what I mean to say. He's doing absolute respect to his family brand, and he's making his own at the same time.
He's not living off the family brand, which is the great thing.
No, he's a
because he didn't call it the Wolfgang Van Halen band, like making sure that the name Van Halen is in the name.
That's right.
We have initials,
right.
but the name is kind of a nod in a way. That's right. But I think it's a nod to his dad as much as anything else. But I kind of see that's kind of like the son of a race car driver runs the same number that his dad ran. Like that's what that is.
Yes. Oh, and by the way, that statement I made about Jakey Lee and Mr. Crowley,
right?
That's number one. That's just my damn opinion. I'm thinking about it now. Randy kicked some fucking ass, and so maybe I might have spoke a little too soon because I was thinking back. I've seen Randy play Mr. Crowley as well. Incredible, but there's something special about the licks that Jake was doing, and he didn't copy a solo. That's the other thing. It was completely unique. He made it his own.
And for those, and I'm just going to throw it out there, and for those, like Randy, geez, Charles, he was 2 years away from quitting Ozzy Osbourne. He was going to go and play classical and blah, blah, blah. You know what I say to that, Charles? I call bullshit. He would have stayed in Ozzy because why? Paycheck.
Yeah. Yeah.
right?
Yeah.
And do all of a sudden because it would be like Guitar for the Practice Musician comes out. There's Randy with his classical guitar, and he releases solo classical records, which will get him classical Grammys because nobody buys classical guitar albums except Randy Rhoads fans. It would be an inordinate amount of us. They're like, yes. Scott asks, what's your favorite Ozzy song to play?
Bark at the Moon.
Nice.
I'm trying to get the freaking nerve up to. I got the backing track. I play the song all the time, but
that's one that's on my bucket list.
I don't have the nerve right now to even really try it. I'm trying to get over my little stage fright thing that I do now. I make mistakes that guys, when I'm playing here and nobody's watching, I play better because I'm not freaking out. And so, but that's okay because we have to do this thing.
That's like being in a recording studio.
It's good for me to do it. It's okay. I don't mind hitting brick walls. I have no ego. I don't give a shit. So, it is what it is. But I always want to play good, just like we all do. We don't want to make mistakes. We don't want to hit a brick wall. It sucks. But it is what it is, But Bark at the Moon is Mr. Crowley is I play Mr. I haven't played Mr. Crowley a lot in the last year and a half, but I learned the solo to Mr. Crowley about 2 years ago. The ending arpeggios, Randy Rhoads' arpeggios at the end are really challenging. Really challenging, but that's all right.
It's like now that I have a nylon string guitar again, do I revisit trying to learn D?
Why not? Why not?
Well, and I already know where I'm going to hit the wall because I hit that wall in 1991. I hit that wall again in 1992 when I revisited it, and then I gave up on it 30 plus years ago for that reason. But I wasn't the player that I am now, so I don't think.
I think the most humbling moment I ever had is I'm a Dawkins fan. I love George Lynch.
Mm-hmm.
Kiss of Death. This was I've been playing like 12, 13 years. Well, this was like 10 years ago. I'm learning Kiss of Death, and you want to talk about putting the brakes on immediately within the first 3 measures of the solo. I was like, wow. And I didn't play the song for years after that because I couldn't do it. I could not do it.
Right.
It just wasn't there. So you got to just stick to it and keep at it and keep practicing and keep playing, man. That's all there is to it, guys. It's fun, dude. I've never had so much fun. I've had the most fun in the last year with guitar because of guys like you, Ben, and guys like Ryan and guys like Fruitcake Tony and my boys over there. Than I ever thought I would. I can't.
Well, it's funny. I was thinking we kind of have, but way more friendly and mutual respectful. That competition thing in the tube community, but it's like we're all in it together. It's like we're all in the same band, so we're willing to. We're not looking to steal each other's licks. We're willingly showing each other licks to. What do you need to get better? What are you working on? What do you need? This, that. Some people they're working on their tone. Some people they're working on a dexterity issue. Other people it could be a rhythm thing. It could variety of things.
Yeah, exactly, brother.
Yeah, and some days I'm playing better than I've ever played in my life, and then other days I'm playing at 80% that, and it's frustrating as hell.
Mm-hmm. Good day, bad day, it don't matter.
Yeah.
It just doesn't matter. I can't figure out if I have more fun just playing guitar or if I have more fun doing bullshit with you guys.
Right.
Talking about playing guitar. I think it's about 50-50.
Or it's 50-50, I'd say for sure, because I'm just thinking your average band practice, or at least for me, it would be like we would play for 45 minutes, like we play a set, Charles, and then we take a break. Yeah. Well, what do we do during the break? We're doing this talk. We're hanging out. What's up, Doc? Great to see you.
Remember, Doc. Right on, bro.
By the way, Doc is going to be on 1 week from tonight with me. So that's going to be awesome. Yeah, 1 week. Before I forget, River Docs 1 week from tonight. Ryan Hall 2 weeks from tonight. Mr. BHB Bruce, I believe that's Bruce. Is that Bruce? It is Bruce. 3 weeks from tonight. Nope.
Nice.
Yes. And then RJ Ronquillo 4 weeks. I'm booked out that far because originally, thank you, Doc, for stepping in 1 week from tonight because I had RJ booked for next week, but then he realized, Charles, that was his wedding anniversary. So he's
wow.
he's like, can we reschedule? I'm like, yes, yes, we can. And by that point, I was booking into February. So
that's excellent, dude. You know, I saw John just saying,
River Docs,
he made a comment in the chat. We all borrow licks. I love the way he used the word borrow instead of steal.
Yep.
Love it.
Yeah, you can have it back. You know.
And then I see HW Titan Lords. Right on, bro. Any insight into who Dokken did most of the writing of the songs? Don Dokken is an incredible lyricist. He's an incredible songwriter.
Mm-hmm.
But a lot of those songs that we love are all Lynch Pilson driving songs with really good lyrics.
Right.
Lynch Pilson.
People don't really, well, I guess if you are a fan, you'd know, but it's, let's say, a casual fan who knows of Doc and knows some of the, you see the music videos, you're, oh, no, Don sings. He's a singer in the band, Charles. He doesn't play guitar. What are you talking about?
If you look on the album and look at the credits, or on the cassette, whatever, look how old I am on the album, you'll see that a lot of the songs, they don't just say Don Dokken. They are.
And half the time, and I believe he did play, so, I don't know how much, but he did play some guitar during the live shows.
Oh, his original band, he was a guitar player. Don Dokken can shred. He can take a Strat and he can make it fucking talk. He can. I don't know if he can do it anymore, but in those days he could.
Yeah. He's not doing too well these days. But I get it. Like, you figure, these guys, none of us are getting any younger, is what I'm saying.
No, I remember Jack Russell. I just saw a very recent video of Jack Russell's Great White, and he's sitting on a chair. He can't even perform standing up anymore. Yeah. And I just was fortunate enough to see Blackie Lawless with Wasp last year at the end. The show that we saw, he was standing, but I think it was 3 or 4 shows after that night on that tour, he was in a chair. And he had to finish out the rest of the tour sitting down, for most of the shows.
I love him. You wonder. Some people are doing it for the love of it. Some people do it because they have to do it. It's like, well, you don't have a retirement plan. No, I had a good time in the '80s. And guess what? You look. Oh yeah, most of the tours that you remember me playing, I wasn't the headlining act, so you're getting paid a fraction of the amount of money, but your outlay is still the same. Or it's like, I got 3 ex-wives, I had lifestyle choices, and I'm not making excuses. I'm just saying that's what happened. And they're like, now I'm in my 60s, pushing 70. I have no discernible skills other than working at a McDonald's, so I'll go out and play because I'm a musician, and you put the name out there, it puts an extra zero on the paycheck. Because let's be honest, Blackie Lawless alone is getting paid $500, Charles. Mm-hmm. Wasp in any form, or even if it's Blackie Lawless's Wasp, you're at least doubling that paycheck, guaranteed, probably quadrupling.
The name's worth a lot. Heck, Armored Saint. Shit, I'm getting to see Armored Saint again this year. I just got to see them with Marty Friedman, and now, not with Marty. Who did I see Armored Saint with? I saw a lot of shows last year, guys. Forgive me. But them and Marty Friedman are going to be here, with the exception of one member. That's the original lineup of Armored Saint. Sandoval brothers. It is so great to see those guys now and how they turned out. The old men they are now, those broken down fucking rock stars. Because back in the day, they were just kids.
Oh, yeah.
That's a trip.
I remember I was watching an interview with somebody last week. I can't remember who it was. they're sitting there and talk about like hand pain and arthritis and this and that. And I'm just like, yeah, preaching to the choir. But it's like, but what else am I going to do? You just take care of it as much as you can and warm up. And
so I switched this year. I went from 10s to 9s.
Smart move.
Across the board. Unless I'm playing in a lower registry where they're going to be slinky enough to where they need to have that extra mass.
Right.
That rule does apply still. But for the most part, and I'm actually thinking about trying out a pair of Billy Gibbons fucking ultralight, which I think they're 8s.
No, his are 7s.
7s.
Yeah. I try 8 first. Or what I do is mostly is 9 through 42s. I got a handful of guitars that prefer a 9 through 46 because they just feel a little flubby with the 42, or they sound thin. But other than that, it's 9 through 42s. I think I have 8s on my Strat. Oh, no, I think I took those off.
Now, 9s in E flat are like butter. It's really nice. It's very comfortable, bending, no problem. And I don't have massive hand pain, but I have
to do a 9 through 46. I'm going down a half step.
Yeah.
That's where I need the 46.
All the songs I love, pretty much. You'd be amazed. I was saying I learned like 200 songs back in the day. Well, I've forgotten more than half of them, but they're all in standard tuning. Mm-hmm.
I generally play. I always play in standard tuning.
Yeah.
That's what I hear my dad in my head. Leo Fender designed the guitar to be played in E standard, so that's what you played in. I'm like, all right. Yeah. The only time I ever played down a half step is if I was with a singer that required it. Essentially, rather than transposing everything again.
All the Motley Crue stuff is dropped.
That's all in D standard, which I do have a guitar with 11s on it in D standard for that reason. I have 11s. For D standard, 11 through 48, so it's not too crazy.
I'm actually talking about Motley Crue playing guitar. I'm waiting when I finally get my guitar back from Charles and I build it and go through it. I'll play it on Brian's show. I'll play a Motley Crue song with it whenever it happens. I'm in no hurry, but I'm looking forward to that shit. So That's cool, man. This community gives us a lot of options and avenues to interact.
And everyone's got an answer, which is what I love. It's like, we never heard of this thing, and we got 58 people watching, and there'll be at least 8 of them say, "Oh yeah, I know what that is," and then you got 8 more saying, "No, what is it?" And then 8 more that go like, "I do know what it is, and I want it."
Yes.
I see what you did there, Rock Daddy. I always play an F flat. Yep. Right.
I see what Ryan Hall. It's good to see you, Ryan, by the way. He says to John, he used to put both hands on a 5-gallon bucket of ice till they went numb. That'll do it, bro. That will do it.
I don't know how well you could play after doing that.
Oh, geez,
hybrid 9 through 46. Yeah, that's why I've got a few of. That's why I used to use the Ernie balls. Now I use the D'Addario XS strings. They last.
I will say this: that I'm definitely changing the E, A, and D string. I'm I use the metal picks now. I use the brass.
Oh yeah,
and I'm going through strings a lot more.
Oh yeah, that
lower registry because I'm actually taking the winding off. I'm fraying it.
I can't. Yeah, that's why I can't use. Well, I have a metal which I still got to send to Fruitcake Tony, which I think is actually titanium. That's why it has a T on it or something. I don't know, but I a dozen strums and the strings broke. So I went, okay,
really.
Yeah, and it looked like I ran across them with a diamond cutter because it was just glistening. You could see all the chunks out of even the plain strings.
Wow. That's really not supposed to happen, Ben. You
No,
should be
well,
able to.
I pick kind of aggressively. Apparently, I don't know,
Yeah, I will.
and
I do
it's
too,
not
and I'll
flush.
break a
I don't
string here and there.
I don't pick flush. I'm always hitting the pick at an angle, so I'll wear down. Well, we have the pick of last year, Charles. Like, here's your standard, pick shape, right?
Yeah.
So halfway through last year, I decided to just stick with one pick and one pick only, and look what happened.
Oh yeah, you got you
It's
a
a little
pear-shaped pick.
Yeah.
Yeah. Been
And,
there.
and what it is, I started standing while playing again too. Because when I sit and play, I'm less aggressive. But when I stand and play, it's like I'm in stage mode, and I just wear the guitar a little lower, so it's a different string angle attack, and I'm just shredding the side of that pick off.
Talking about standing up and playing guitar, that is something. Okay, so 3 years ago wasn't any big deal for me. 2 years ago wasn't a big deal. I can remember Mitch Heyman. He and I were having a conversation like 2 years ago. He was talking about physical age and playing guitar and standing with the guitar and how it's wearing on him. Mm-hmm. And I remember thinking to myself at the time, I'm like, well, you just got to keep doing it. You got to keep standing, force yourself to do it, keep yourself used to it. But I'm where Mitch is now because I'm sedentary a lot more now. I never stand up. I haven't stood up that many times in a year to play guitar for any length of time because I have no reason to. And the fact that now it's not an amp, but it's right here in front of me and it's all a keyboard and a mouse and blah, blah, blah.
I started doing it again as a form of exercise. If nothing else, just strapping that weight around my neck while playing and standing with that weight.
You got to keep physical. You got to get out and walk. You got to walk and stretch.
Well, and that's it. I forgot how much I walk around while I play because my cord's tangled up into a ball within 20 minutes. I was like, how is that possible? There's not that much room here, Charles.
And you start tripping over it, stumbling over that big knot like an alligator in the middle of the floor.
I pulled the tuner out of the power supply yesterday in here. I was like, how'd that happen? Cold tub. No, that'll cause shrinkage is what that causes. Cold tub. Hot tub. Oh, yeah. Give me a hot tub.
Oh, yeah, dude.
Nice. Well, we'll go a few more minutes here, folks. It's been some serious fun. The latest installment, I'm not even going to say we'll have them back because it's a given. Charles is in the rotation of the channel.
It might be kind of nice if you could put those all in a playlist. Yep. I'd go through it, and if there's something, maybe a fresh story or something. And there's a couple of stories I'm going to bring to the next show, okay? And I'll leave out some incriminating stuff and some stuff that's inappropriate.
Hey, Taylor. Thanks, my friend.
Right on, Taylor.
Well, fantastic show tonight, Ben. Always love it when Charles is on. You and me both.
We'll leave out some inappropriate stuff and
yeah. Certain lifestyle choices are a given. That's all I'll say. Things like that.
It's funny. We all say, well, it was the 80s and, that's just how it was. Well, that's the damn truth. I don't know any other way to explain it because it made no sense. It was like just ridiculously crazy.
Yep.
It's funny. We talk a lot on Tony's show about bands and this, that, and the other thing. And everything's always reoccurring, coming back. But somebody asked the question if Warrant really was dirty, rotten, filthy, stinking rich.
Mm-hmm.
Yes, they were for a minute. And then they blew through it all.
Right.
Except with the exception, Joey Allen. He was responsible in many ways. Not a choir boy, but very responsible. And he actually has a life right now. And it's a shame. Rest in peace, Janie Lane. What a fucking drag.
But Mark has a question. Well, that's a good one. What's your opinion of the late, great Jeff Healey?
I thought Jeff Healey was, you've heard me say it.
Yep.
My all-time favorite Canadian performer, period, hands down, is Jeff Healey. In fact, other than, now everybody's just say, and I said this on a show and everybody thought I was crazy. I'm a big Rush fan. I love Rush. I've seen them, many, many times.
Mm-hmm.
Not like some of you crazies, but many times. And I'm a big Triumph fan. Triumph at the US Festival was life changing. But I got to tell you, my favorite Canadian rock band is Jeff Healey. Straight up blues, man.
Mm-hmm.
Outstanding.
Yep.
So yeah.
Tom Lynn.
And Roadhouse was one hell of a movie.
Yep.
Yes, it
and
was.
That role was written for Jeff.
Yeah. Frank Marino, another monster. You're right, Guitar Man.
Mm-hmm.
Mahogany Rush was really good live. It's kind of funny. We're hearing these chats and we talk about all these rockers from the day, and some of you guys didn't get to see them like some of us did, and I feel for you guys. We're sitting telling stories about them, and we wish you could have been there. We wish you could have seen them.
And there's some band, still out there playing, and then sometimes, like, I'll see some of the stuff, and I'm just like, no. It's just, it's like, I get it, you're out there doing it, but I'm not paying money to see that, because they have lost a step, and
yeah.
But, who hasn't? So.
Yeah, Preston Smith. It's very sad that he passed away. You're absolutely right, man.
His stepmother is Jeff Healey's cousin. Okay, wow.
Very cool, dude. Very cool.
Nice.
Tom Lind in the chat. Good to see you, Tom. That's
Steve
another
Marriott.
name.
Yeah, Steve Marriott, very underrated. One of the best.
Oh, by the way, just a shout out to Ben Tom. I haven't heard an update, but he's had his surgery, and
that I didn't. All I know is the last. I call it proof of life. At the end of my show on Monday, like, he said goodbye in my chat Monday night. Like, after I was off, also I'm like, "There's Tom! What the fuck?" And but I was already out there.
He showed up on the Under the Bus Network, I believe it was. I hope I got that right. At the end of a show too the other night, so I got to give him a little shout out and say hello to him and tell him I loved him. But Tommy boy, we love you. We want you well.
Yeah,
right there, brother.
Yeah, we're lucky he jumped in on a Water Buffalo meeting there a month or so ago, which was.
Did he really?
That's awesome. We're sitting there, all of a sudden Tommy shows up, like, "Hey, what's up?" And he was chilling at his parents' house.
No, I never saw Deep Purple with Richie Blackmore because I was too young. 73, 74 was sort of the end of. I was really into the Glenn Hughes bass player thing. In 74, I thought that Made in Europe was the greatest live album I'd ever heard until Rainbow Live came out, and then I hold them both right here at the same. But I never got to see Richie with Deep Purple, but I got to see Rainbow like 6 times.
Nice.
So that was totally cool. I got to see Rainbow with not only with Ronnie, but with oh God, all 3 of them. I was just gonna say I can't think of all their names right now. Help me out, Ben. I was just talking about
Jesus.
Well, you guys know who I'm talking about. The lead singers that were in Rainbow. Their names are eluding me right now. I can't believe it. I'm going to kick myself in the ass.
I'm only thinking of Dio myself.
No. There's oh, good God. I'm having a complete. I'm losing it. Joe Lynn Turner was one. Okay. He was great. It's coming to me. It takes me a minute.
There we go. Okay, Mesa. Yeah, I just mentioned Joe Lynn Turner.
And then with the short hair, damn it. God, I fucking love him too. Lost in Hollywood. God damn it. Graham Bonnet. Thank you. Graham Bonnet. He was great with Graham Bonnet too. What we've learned about Richie, and he was my favorite guitar player when I was in like 7th grade, 6th grade, 7th grade. I was into Deep Purple in elementary school because of my brother. And, but we didn't really know how he was as a person, and his track record has sort of proven to be a little bit negative, all the people who worked with him back in the day, they're, the ones who were still alive are out giving their, their accounts of how it was to be with him. And I I'm kind of disappointed because he really had no reason to be that way.
Some people are dicks. I'll say it.
Yeah, I don't know if it's a defense mechanism. You know, when Eddie walked into the Rainbow Club and fucking John Bonham and Richie Blackmore were sitting in the Rainbow, he walked up to say hi, and they both treated him like a fucking asshole. Okay, period. And when I heard that, I just heard that, you know, in the last, you know, more recently. It wasn't, I never knew about it back in the day.
Right.
It's how history has played out. And so through the books that have been written about Edward and this, that, and the other thing, those stories have come out now and we talk about them. I never knew that he was that way to his band members. And I don't really think there was any reason for it. But I think he had a chip on his shoulder, and I think he had a lot that he had to prove. And I think that pressure is a lot on any individual.
Right.
So with a grain of salt, I loved Richie Blackmore. I still to this day wish I could play Highway Star worth of shit.
Well, yeah, I almost wonder, is it because he's not, for whatever reason, like you hear like the Page, the Clapton, the Beck, the Bubba, you know, like nobody mentions Richie Blackmore in that same group. You know, it's because he was, I'm why? Because he was 2 years behind? Like he wasn't though. Deep Purple was, you know, they were there, you know, but for whatever reason, he gets lumped into the later 70s kind of thing.
Yeah.
And he's like, no, I'm one of them. And I think that might, I
truly believe the reason Richie Blackmore was as popular a guitar player as he was is not because he was so accomplished, but because he was surrounded by John Lord, Ian Pace, Glenn Hughes, David Coverdale, this, that, and the other thing. That's why Tony Carey, some of the best keyboard players on the planet, have surrounded themselves around Richie Blackmore.
How many iterations does that?
He's the fortunate one in the whole equation, I truly think. But it's all rock and roll, guys.
Steve says he got to see Glenn Hughes when he was with Dead Daisies a few years ago. Great show, I bet. I was fortunate. I was walking out. I was at NAMM going to grab a pint down at one of the local hotels. We're walking down the sidewalk, and I looked up and went, there's Glenn fucking Hughes. So I got a photo with Glenn Hughes.
That's awesome. I've seen it. You show it on the channel.
Yep.
I've seen it.
Yeah, it's in one of the intro videos that I'll use. So.
Yep.
Well, I think we should probably wrap things up here while we keep it fresh, folks. Freshness. And we will definitely do another part with Charles. I will make that dedicated playlist, folks, and look for that. Excuse me. What's up, Smellmouth guy? Of course, Charles hanging the line here. I will be back tomorrow night with Connects with Guitars, playing songs not badly, just different enough to avoid copyright. At least that's my excuse. Although I did get nailed for one of the songs last week. That's fine. That's fine. And I will be giving away some channel memberships tomorrow night as well. So is that also Water Buffalo meeting for channel members and patrons this Wednesday, 7 p.m. Eastern. Check your local listings. Or not. I don't know.
Wednesday at 7.
Wednesday at 7.
Okay. All right. I think I'm going to be there.
Right on.
I think so.
So there you go, folks. He'll be there. Are you going to be there? Click the join button if you haven't already.
Guys, if you haven't experienced the Water Buffalo Society, you owe it to yourself. It is the single most greatest culmination of music, knowledge, anything. I don't care what it is. Amps, guitars, anything.
Yep.
Wow. Wow.
Yeah. There's a centuries of knowledge, basically, when you add it all. Centuries.
Amazing. It's right over my head. That's why I like hanging around smart people.
Right? Me too. So, I've been Ben. Charles has been Charles. Y'all have been y'all. Hold those doors open. I don't know. Let Ryan Hall in ahead of you in traffic. Why not? You know, Mazel. He'd do it for you. Be good to each other. Happy tone chasing. And of course, don't litter. Just don't.